prior to Tuck, I was working in asset management, and I really enjoyed trading, but I did get to a point where I realized I was a very small cog in a very large machine. And around 2011, I read Muhammad Yunus's Creating a World Without Poverty. And that book had a really big impact on me. He makes a point of talking about how capitalism can continue to evolve and how we as consumers within this capitalistic system can exercise change and be agents of change to have a world that we actually want that reflects the values that we have. That really resonated with me, and so around that time I started also reading more about social impact investing, or socially responsible investing, and realized that that's the area I wanted to take my financial skill set. So while I was at Tuck, I was involved with the Center for Business and Society, and there were two main activities that were important to me. First, my involvement with the Business and Society Conference, and then my position as a Rivers Board Fellow. With the Business and Society Conference, it's the largest student-run conference held here at Tuck. I was in charge of running a panel on impact investing as a first year. So I was part of the executive committee, getting to see how this conference got put on, as well as engaging with a smaller group of first years to actually create our panel, what the topics were going to be, what speakers we were going to bring in, and what kind of format did we want for it. And my second activity was as a Rivers Board Fellow. This is a program that Tuck has that partners local nonprofits with second-year Tuck students and allows the Tuck student to sit as a non-voting board member at these pretty established nonprofits that we have in the Upper Valley area. I worked with David's House, which is a home away from home for families whose children are being treated at Dartmouth-Hitchcock. So it was a great experience to see a very highly functioning board, walk through issues of governance, of fundraising, of all the different aspects of what a board does here from a nonprofit standpoint. So I recently started with Social Finance US, which is a pay-for-success intermediary based out of Boston. And I'm there as a director of product development, and what I specifically work on is aligning key stakeholders of government, private investors, and nonprofits to agree on what's known as a pay-for-success contract. And so the idea is that a nonprofit who has an evidence-based, proven intervention or preventative program to meet a need, like a social need, needs working capital to actually scale that program. So that's where you get private investors to provide that working capital and government to come in to actually pay when outcomes are achieved. So working amongst that group of stakeholders across, an investment profile, across legal dimensions, all of those are the types of things that I'll be working on going forward. Understanding how those different stakeholders will approach the same exact problem is something that I think the center really helped me to better understand. How does this one problem of, for example, recidivism get viewed from a government lens versus a private investor lens versus a nonprofit lens? So having the experience of understanding it from a business standpoint as well as a society standpoint is something that I feel like I've gained a lot of understanding from through my involvement with the center. My advice for a Tuck student who's interested in social impact is twofold. First, create your own path. And then second, stay true to that path. So under creating your own path, some of that means being very clear with yourself in terms of what the issue area is that is important to you and what kind of function you feel your skills are uniquely suited for within that issue area. You can be broad or specific within that, but you should have the answer to those two things. And then the second part, staying true to that path, is recognizing that your recruiting and your job search is going to have a very different rhythm and cadence than some of your other classmates. It doesn't make it better or worse, it just means that it's different. So knowing that you have the support not only of your classmates, but of Tuck staff and faculty as you move down this path is important. And I think one of the great things about Tuck is that we are a small enough community and an integrated enough community that support is there for you. You just need to ask.